You can butt in and ask questions.
What if we feel like kibitzing? We can't kibitz, no?
Can't kibitz.
No
What a
kibitz,
great word.
no?
You can kibitz later. Or you can kibitz now until Csaba starts.
We can kibbutz, but we can't kibitz.
Oh, I can see this is going to get good.
Well, yeah, 25 so far.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's this Robert Antipholus of? What the hell is that?
Yes.
I know, I was wondering whether you'd change your name on us.
No, I don't even know what that is. Antipholus of.
Antipholus of Balthazar.
Really?
Actually, it
Oh,
looks
it's
like-
because it's because I was yeah. I took part in a reading of a Shakespeare play, and that was my character. So I guess somehow or other it's
that's
anyway.
that's your handle.
That's my handle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Say that after a couple of beer. Yee.
Well, it just barely fits on the under your face there. You know?
I'll change it later. And that's saying a lot. Yeah.
Mm.
God. Let me see if I can change it.
What can you change? Yeah, that's
I don't know. Rename. Here we go.
Robert, that was a very good issue of the news that you put out recently. It was wonderful.
Well, thank you.
Great. You did a good job.
Thank you. I'm glad folks enjoyed it.
Hey, Robert, I'm about to throw another article at you.
Awesome. Keep them coming, Csaba.
Well, this will fit in with the Yugoslav study group.
Oh, okay.
Okay, well, it's something that one of our old members, Fred Schwartz, sent me. It was a typewritten article that was translated from Serbo-Croatian. So I had to do another translation on it to make it legible.
Excellent. Excellent. What's the subject?
Oh, it's about the 1919 Prekomurje, Međimurje locals.
Oh, okay, great. Excellent.
So I found it interesting because it provided some background documents. I mean, there's nothing new in it that we didn't already know, but there was some background which made it interesting.
Yeah, and also if there's are there any good illustrations of the?
Well,
stuff
that's
actually
what I
used?
supplied. You know, the article didn't have any, but I was able to go to my files and pull up some neat illustrations.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, this is
Anyway,
quite the turnout for the Sage of Indianapolis's first presentation.
Well, that's want to set a good example and then get somebody else. You know, I think Joe Colburn's there. Maybe he'll do the Perfins ones next.
Yep. He is. Everybody's going to be watching you, so they know how to do it.
Right. Well, I see Derek Pasternak. Nice to meet you in at least in person by Zoom. You know, about a year and a half ago, I didn't know what the hell Zoom was all about until my granddaughters informed me that they're going to school on Zoom, and then I learned.
Pleasure to be here.
When
It
they,
looks like Brian and Ed are joining us together from Connecticut. Is that right? You guys are on mute.
when they go to school on Zoom, are they permitted to kibitz?
Sure.
Yeah.
That's correct. I
Not the kibitz.
unmuted. I just,
So,
Yeah,
how
so
you guys do it?
Only on smoke break.
we're not allowed to kibitz. Okay, no kibitz.
No kibitzing.
Yeah, just look at your text bill. That's what you want to look at. You'll find out they've sent 10,000 texts.
Unmuted right now.
Csaba, are you ready?
I think so. We got a big crowd over here.
Oh, yeah, we have 26. So I'd like to welcome you all to this first in the presentation of the expert series presentation. And we have 9 more on tap. So those will be scheduled out over the next year, and we'll start scheduling them. We'll let you know when the next ones are scheduled after this meeting. Did we have, Caro, did Laszlo and Dennis join? Do you know?
They tried to join. I called him on phone, and
Mhm.
they said me that they will join to us some minutes.
Okay,
But
all right.
we don't have to wait.
Okay, okay, so that's fine. We have a couple of guests from Hungary coming, so they should be coming soon. Before you start, Chubb, I just want to let everybody know this is being recorded. And we're going to put the recording up on the website for other members to see. We've had a few members who originally wanted to attend and couldn't, so they'll be able to see this through the recording on the website. And what we'll do is we'll put the other ones up as they occur for everybody's viewing pleasure. So now I think I need to make you the co-host, and then you can share your screen. Okay, so you should be able to. So Csaba, let's get started.
Tiro Danish is coming.
Who's that? Oh, Dennis? Dennis. All right, should we wait? Is he coming?
Did he join us?
Yes, I
Oh, I
spoke to
see.
him
Okay.
by phone in some minutes earlier.
Yeah.
He will join.
Hey, Csaba, in the
Yeah.
meantime, why don't you tell us about the 1867, how to tell the difference between the two 1867s?
Well, you mean the coarse and the fine printing?
Yeah, whatever.
Well, you know, the coarse printing is coarse and the fine printing is fine.
And that's it. Okay, we're done. Good.
Okay,
That's easy.
Lithos is coming. We got our two guests from Hungary.
Yeah. Yep. Laszlo and Dennis are on. So a special welcome to our guests from Hungary, Dennis and Laszlo Leotold.
Okay,
Okay.
somebody muted me. Did you mute me, Alan?
No, I didn't touch anything.
No,
No.
no, the other Alan.
No,
Oh,
I didn't.
that
You're. We can hear you.
Okay, good. All right, I get rid of the cat. Come on, shoot. Anyway,
He's allowed to
you know,
kid,
this is
right?
this
With a
is
cat.
quite a groundbreaking thing, I think, with us being able to use this technology and share our knowledge. And I'm just going to share my experience. I may be preaching to the choir because all of you or some of you may have already come up with these solutions to tell the difference between the two issues. I just want to go on record to let everybody know what I've been doing over the years. And just this past week, I had a request to verify that a person's purchase was correct. Well, okay, it was 90% correct. So anyway, I made a PowerPoint presentation, so I'm going to share my screen and I'll pull up the PowerPoint. Okay, share. And let's see if this works. I'm new at this.
Looks like it's working. We see your
Alright.
screen. Oh, yeah.
There's the PowerPoint.
Yeah.
Okay, there's my title slide. I copied the illustrations out of Gabor Wisniewski's book, stamp book, he called it. He published that back in '96 in conjunction with the state printing office, where the printing office provided the actual original plates so that the illustrations are as authentic as you can get. So we had somebody else just show up. So anyway, this problem with the lithos and the engraved was plaguing me in my early days of collecting. And I still run into discussions with dealers who miscatalog the stamps. And for whatever reason, if I want to buy it, I have to convince them that it's one way or the other. And I'm sure everybody's run into this problem. And the way that I approached this was just to take a look at the numbers. when you're looking at the quantities of lithograph stamps, 4 some million versus the engraved 95 million, you know, 1 out of every 20 stamp may be lithograph, you know, just using the probability approach. So wishfully cataloging a stamp, you know, you want to say it's lithograph, chances are it's engraved. So going on, my first clue in looking at these stamps is if there's a date in the cancellation. If it's 71, then it's worth looking and trying to figure out if it's engraved or lithograph. Most of the lithos were used in the first year, actually within 6 months of being produced. Very, very few was used in 72 and even later. So, you know, you could assign a premium value to something that was used in 73, but that's not part of my discussion right now. So the engraves ran for 3 years, and you know, the first thing to look for is, since these were recess printed, the ink would have built up on the stamp as part of the design. But over the years, with stamps being soaked and pressed, it's very hard to see that the actual engraved lines are raised. Higher magnification may help, but you know, you're still looking for clues. So then I compared the two from Wisniewski's book. On the left is the lithographed, on the right is the engraved. You know, you look at the overall impression difference between the two stamps. The lithos have a matte finish. You know, the color is dullish compared to the bright colors on the engraved. And then you start looking at the design. Well, if you can see the beard, compare the beard with the two stamps. On the litho, it's blurry. It's almost like just a mass of you know, it's a mass on the king's face. On the engraved, you can make out fine lines. You see the whole chin. And on the litho, you just see a white blotch. But a lot of times the cancellation obscures that. So then you look at the design. The letters are faint. The outlines are not distinct. On the engraved, they're excellent. You know, you got shading and difference between the background and the letter itself is impressive. And you know, again, this is a clue. But then you look at the grid as part of the design. On the lithos, it's blurry. The lines are not distinct. You know, that's what differentiates the engraved. You know, distinct lines. So these are the two main things that I look for: the impression of the color being flat and matte versus bright, and the detail in the design, how you could differentiate the elements in the design. Now, of course, you know, if you want to get into the nitty-gritty, then there's been various types identified for each value of the litho, and then there's little grains in the design. Like here, this is that little ink blotch there is the type 7 identifier for that particular stamp. The same is true for the 3 Kreuzat. You could see how, you know, the green on the engraved is bright, and on the lithographed, it's flat. Again, you got a little blob of ink there in the lower left corner. type 1 identifier. Same thing for the 5. Now the 5 presents a problem. In my opinion, in my experience, it's just this is the hardest value to differentiate between a litho and an engraved. This little ink spot in the R is the type 9 identifier for that particular stamp. Now the 10, I didn't do a comparison here, but I showed the identifiers. The 15 is probably the easiest to differentiate between the litho and the engraved. The color of the lithos is always this shade of brown. It's a milk chocolate brown. The engraved, they'll run the gamut of color shades from light brown to copper red. Actually going faster to this. So anyway, a lot of problems we have with the lithos is that they've been faked. They're the stamped stationary items bear the same values as the postage stamps. So the counterfeiters have been busy cutting them out and then perforating them, passing them off as lithos because they're flat printed. The stationary items are typograph printed. So here are some examples from the book that show the counterfeits, and the perforations seldom ever duplicate the authentic perforations. Sometimes they're denser, sometimes they're coarser, and this would be the one way to identify that you're looking at a counterfeit. Now, the original lithos, the perforations are poor. The stamps, in most cases, are poorly centered, and the perforating pins left a lot of blind perfs. Now, this particular 25 KR value, the counterfeiters tried to duplicate the fact that there were blind perfs left in there. So that may be something that could fool a prospective buyer. It's a good example of one of the most commonly counterfeited value is the 10 Kreuzar, because the stamped envelopes were infrequently used. There was a lot of mint copies available at the end. On the actual stamp, if you look at the numeral 1, the tip of the numeral is very well defined. On counterfeit ones that were perforated out of the stamped envelopes, the tip of the 1 is at a point. And you also can see that the shading around the numerals on the typographed stamped envelope is very distinct compared to, there's hardly any shading that you can see on the actual lithograph stamp. Now, the engraved ones were reprinted in 1883, and you can tell they're easy to differentiate because they're on KR watermark paper, and the perforations are 11.5 line perfs. So those are nice copies to have. Occasionally, dealers will neglect to look at the dates in these vignettes that were made in the 1921 for the 50th anniversary. And they'll think that those particular stamps are authentic, but they're just vignettes made for collectors for the so-called 50th anniversary exhibition. All right, here are my rules to follow. There are many recognized color shades, so just by looking at a particular color shade is not going to tell you anything, because both Lithos and Engraved have color shades, and I don't even want to like to discuss colors because my wife thinks I'm colorblind. I think that the only problem we have is I may use different words to describe a color than she would, but that's neither here nor there. I think in the last issue, Robert, that article that Greg Gessel put together about the 2KR value with the different colors, you know, the catalogs are at fault for not providing a color guide to go with the words that they use to describe a color. So, you know, your perception of slate blue may be different than my perception of slate blue. So I don't want to discuss color shades. In general, the appearance of the colors, whether it's matte or flat for the Lithos, bright or vivid for the Engraved, is the first characteristics I look for. And then, you know, if I identify a litho, which I would like to have all variety, all types for all values, which I don't have yet, but they're up to 10 per denomination. These are little specs, and they're documented in Wisniewski's book. They're documented in to a lesser extent in the Black Book. And I have an old copy of Mother Ras catalog that shows each value with details as best you can in black and white to what to look for in order to identify a particular type. Now here's a test. Top row Lithos, bottom row Engraved. Any discussion on that?
Yeah, well.
I think they're all correct. You know, top row is all Lithos. You know, at first I had some doubts about this one, but it's got a date of 6-something June of 1871, so that falls into the right time frame.
Mm.
But you can see that my guideline of looking for a flat color versus a bright color on the 5KR is a little more difficult because they're shades of rose red of the Engraved issue that, you know, could fool somebody. But, you know, like I said, the 15 Kreuzat is the easiest one to pick out of a bunch. Now I've got another example. I just pulled this off a eBay listing recently. Let's go at this one. I think the stamps on top, well, they're all mixed up. Which is which?
The right upper corner, the 10 Kreutzer is 2, I mean.
Can you enlarge the screen a little bit, Csaba?
Oh, this is as big as it gets.
This is okay.
I know it's difficult, but you know, it's going by my guideline of looking for bright colors versus flat colors.
Can you hear me, Csaba? No?
Hello, Csaba? Can you hear me? Csaba?
We can hear you.
I think all are engraved.
No. The one
No,
in the top right corner looks like a litho to me, but
Yeah. And then there's one of on the second stamp in on the third line. Looks
Yeah, well,
like
Maybe.
It's
Yeah.
74.
Might be.
It's from 74, so
Oh, yeah,
No,
no,
that's
good point.
74. That
Good point.
goes with
That's-
the next slide, which will have
Yeah.
a giveaway for that one.
Okay, yeah, no.
the right upper corner, the tank.
Yeah, I agree with that. That looks litho to me. Got a big bushy beard. Damn.
I think, in my opinion, these are all engraved.
Yes.
There's telltale things, like a 1874 in that particular stamp. There's an 1874 there. And that's the I'll get to the canceller, the type of canceller here and here on the 2 KRs in the third row. And then on the 5 in the next to last thing, those things were introduced in 1873. And then, the bottom row, the first 5 Kreuzer, it's got the same type of canceller. So it's a very slim chance that those could be lithographed.
So what gives away the 10 Kreutzer in the upper right corner, Csaba? If you think that's
that one, that could be, like you were asking about a larger screen. Yeah, that could be.
Hey,
But,
Csaba, doesn't that top stamp have a county cancel? And didn't they get used? Didn't they? They didn't last too long.
No, it's got the. I just the date part is just not showing on there. So it's a difficult proposition, and then if you see the stamp and can put a magnifier on it, then it really helps. Well, this is the slide that our former webmaster sent me just this past week. He said he bought these full set of lithos and a full set of engraved, and he wanted me to confirm it. Well, this particular stamp, the first 2 Kreuzer, it's got that, they call it Ushkarik. I don't know if there is good translation for it. It's the first generation wheeled canceling device introduced in Hungary in 1873, and it was used for maybe 4 or 5 years. So, if you see that on a stamp, that's not going to be a litho.
It's also called a Swiss type.
Other than that first 2 Kreuzer stamp, it's correct. The top row is litho, and the bottom row is engraved.
Yeah.
But you can see, the gamut of color shades that you run into with this particular type of stamp.
Yeah.
And this is my pet peeve. I've seen this particular stamp, this one on the typographed one on the right. The one on the left is masquerading as the one on the right in dealers' stocks. Just about every dealer that I run across who has an extensive stock of Hungarian stamps will have this particular designed envelope design stamp miscatalogued because it's a rare perforation variety if it's watermarked, and the fact that it's gray, they'll think that okay, it's the black numeral one. But the engraved stamp, the crown in the design touches that bead. On the typograph stamp, the crown and the bead have a space between them. And the style of the numeral 20 is quite different, but that's a minor thing that easily overlooked. So a lot of dealers will miscatalog this stamp, wishfully thinking it's the rare typographed 11.5 variety. I think it was about 2 years ago at a stamp show, you know, where I'm noted for looking for Hungarian stuff. And it's one dealer came running after me, waving an envelope, saying, "Hey, look, I got this Scott number 32A on a cover. Would you like to buy it?" I said, no, that's 22. Oh, what's the difference? Well, I pointed out a few things to him, and that's okay. You know, he'll put away and he'll try it again, the same trick on another person looking for Hungarian stuff.
Well, and also Csaba, the shading on the kind of the triangular ornaments is, to me, just like leaps off the stamp at you. And
well, yeah, you know, when you've got it enlarged and you're looking at it like this, but when you're actually looking at it in real, you know, real size, it's not going to be as obvious. They're just looking at the fact that, you know, they're both gray stamps and they'll both have blackish numerals on them.
But isn't the shape of the crown different too? Because you have the crown is clearer in the.
Yeah, right. The engraved one has got finer detail.
Right.
You know, Stephen Arato was a big expert in this particular design stamp. You know, he put together booklets and things like that. You know, he and I always chuckled at this. You know, that this is one of the most confused stamps ever, as far as dealers and collectors are concerned. You know, I mean, you know, if I find one and I can't tell the difference, okay, wow, my goodness, that catalog value is what, $300. So anyway, that's my presentation. And let's see. If I
But there was a few questions that came up. They showed on the bottom of the screen, so we can open it up for questions now. But I think Joe Colburn had one and George Shaw had one. So if you want to take questions now, that would be great.
I'll take questions.
The question for me was, on your slide of the forgeries, are the cancellations forged as well? Or is it just, you know, fake stamps, fake
Let me
purse?
go back. Sometimes the cancellations are forged. You know, this particular one, you know, may have that looks like a decent cancel, but that one that has no text on
They're
it.
going through here explaining different stamps and how to tell the forgery.
Oh, Wes, you're not on mute.
Putting on a presentation. But these stamps here, they're like the very first issues, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, Hungary. And if I had one that was really pricey valued, it would be that green one.
I'm sorry, I'm not having a difficult time understanding your question.
I think Wes was explaining something. I'm not sure it was a question.
No. Well, you
So I
know,
think-
there's two, these two stamps right here, the second and on the first and second row, the cancellations are forged.
So Joe, the answer to your question is that yes, the cancellations can be forged too.
Yeah, I was wondering because it looked to me like the upper left and the lower right were real cancels. Because I've
Well,
seen
yeah,
some
that
cancels.
the first one in both rows looks like a real
Yeah.
cancel, and the last two in the second row look like real cancels.
Yeah, I hit that one on the nose too, because I thought the upper right was a fake cancel as well.
Well, it could be, but at least they're duplicating an existing style canceller. You know, the post office never used, you know, these mute cancelers without any text.
Nothing like that, no.
Gotcha.
Uh-uh.
Thanks.
AI, some words. Karisic.
All right, go ahead.
Yes. there is a site in the Mobius who is available for Mobius members. I sent here in the chat window. Here is all types and other signs for plate reconstruction for the engraved issue, all the 6 values. The other remark that in the monograph, in the volume 3, you can find some general engraving signs for distinct face values. Also, the 2 Kreuzer has some engraving signs that they appear on all position. This is exactly written in the monograph in the bands, volume 3. Also, best identification for a lithograph stamp. For the engraving stamps, this is my research on the Mobius website, and it was issued in the Bélyegvilág, who is free for everyone in the world, also in the Mobius website. There is archived numbers, and I have published these sheet reconstruction signs for plating information in the last year, from September maybe until this year April. That is my second remark.
Well, thank you, Gary.
Also, who will get help for the plate reconstruction or have problem? please ask me. Don't hesitate. Thank you.
About the forgeries, you can find about 20 covers in the Muffet homepage, and you can see in the stamp Prüfung, what does it in English? But you can find there a lot of forgeries in covers from the Lithos in the Muffet homepage.
There is a section stamp examination.
Yeah, the examination. Thanks, Karcho.
Yes, and there is a special part for Hungarian issues 1871. If I can share my screen, you can allow me, Ellen.
Yes, I will. Let me hang on.
I show this.
There you go. Okay, you should be able to now.
Okay, I do it. Here is it.
Yeah, great.
Do you see it? Okay, this is the forgeries. This is forged letters. And this is here in the Mobius website stamp examination. Here are the list of the recent experts of the group. And here you find the Hungarian issues forgeries section, Hungarian issues this year.
Kara, is that available to non-members?
Yes, of course, it is free for everyone in the world. But okay. I said in the Mobius website, this is here in the Philately online Philately. And this page is available free, but this other page for the sheet reconstruction information is only for Mobius members. You can pay it for the membership for Mobius simply. Yeah. And here you can jump in a PDF for all face values. Maybe this is another screen. I can share it somewhere. Who can I share it? Stop share. and share again. And here is the PDF. Okay, they are the main types, A, B, C, D, and in the columns, what is here. Of course, this can you magnify. And for all face value, I have done such an overview. And after then, a table about it is maybe sophisticated, and a description of all signs of the plates. This is valid for the recess printing. The litho has another, it is well described by Madaras in the third volume of the monograph. But maybe I will do it for the lithograph also in the same way, because it gives a very good guide for sheet reconstruction. My reconstruction sheet is, it is not here. It is in the article. It is in the article in the Bélyegvilág. Thank you.
Thank you.
Has this been translated into English?
Yes, we can translate it, but it is a bit work. Maybe we can work together in the group of the SHP. I have many times, because I am not the managing director of Mobius in the second half of this year. So I leave for the philately all day. 24 hours.
George, you had another question that you had wanted to ask Csaba?
Yeah. I think the talk discussed that some of the forgeries came from postal stationery. How different is the paper from the postal stationery as opposed to the paper on the printed stamps?
Well, the two Kreutz came from a postcard, so the paper there is going to be thicker. The 3, 5, and 10 came from stamped envelopes. So the paper, unless you're an expert on paper consistency, is not going to be much different. Now, Sperati made a big deal about forging these stamps from stamped envelopes, and yeah, he took care that he didn't perforate them perfectly, to resemble more of the originals. But I'm not a paper expert. I wouldn't be able to tell the difference for just by looking at the paper.
This is my next topic, the papers of the Hungarian classic stamps. I will explain them.
Chris, did you see Chris's question, Csaba?
Could you tell us a little bit about imperforates that exist on this issue? The only imperforates I've run across were cutouts from postal stationery that you occasionally see on eBay, for example, saying a rare imperforate copy. Well, sorry, it's a cutout.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't. Karo, maybe you can answer this. The Minta albumok.
Yeah.
Ez a 871-es készültek arról a bélyegről.
A résznyomatról, igen. Hallasz engem?
Nagyon halkan.
Aha, mikrofon problémáim vannak a géppel. Most jobb?
Most jobb.
Yep, better.
Oké, egészen a számhoz tartom. Oké, mi volt a kérdés? Bocsánat.
A mintaalbumokban ez a kiadás szerepel.
The lithograph was not a separate issue of the Hungarian Post. Also in the Minta album, the specimen albums consist of the engraved prints only. The lithograph, there is no specimen in carton paper.
No specimen. There's no specimen, Chris. There's no specimen imperfs that were cut out from the specimen albums. There were special printings because the lithographs were not specially printed for the lack of the stones.
Okay, so
The engraved ones were printed for this the specimen albums. So people have cut up these pages in the specimen albums and sold them as imperforate stamps.
okay,
Yes, they were printed in 1978 about, because there was a world exhibition in Paris, and that was the cause of the printing.
1878.
1878.
Gotcha.
Chris,
Where did
there's an article coming your way one of these days that Karoy wrote, and I translated and passed it off to Robert about the specimen albums.
Oh, really? Okay. Where
Yeah,
did
so
the
stay
imperfs-
tuned.
Sorry, Robert.
I said stay tuned.
Oh,
Stay
I
tuned.
always do. Where then did the imperf lithograph stamps come from?
There aren't any. That's what I think Karoy is saying.
Yes, they exist.
If there
Some-
are any imperfs being passed off, they're cut out from postal stationery and they're not lithographed, they're typographed.
You
These
can
were
find
Those would
it,
be cut
you can-
squares
the
then,
description you can find in the monograph, the volume 3, and it is translated to English, you know.
Okay, thank you.
Mike, you had a question?
Yeah, will the presentation or the slides be posted online?
Yes, we have updated the website, and we have a section in on the society page that shows recordings, or there's a section for recordings. Right now, the recording for the annual meeting is up there, so you can go and take a look at that. What I'll do next week is go through the this recording, which is on Zoom, save it to our website, and then Ken, our webmaster, will post it up there. So sometime next week. What I was going to do was send out a note to all of the members saying it's available for members only. And then you can take a look at it after that.
That's
Wally
real-
joined
real
us
helpful.
late.
I'm sorry, what?
It's very helpful, and for people who couldn't be here too.
Yeah. I'm wondering if we could post the PowerPoint too. I mean, I'm not sure that's necessary, but you know, if you said, would you mind if we posted that, Csaba?
No, I would recommend we post it so that people can look at it. I noticed
Okay.
that Wally joined us late.
Oh.
Is he there?
Wally, you there?
This guy, he's muted.
I think it's on. He's on
Oh,
page.
I'm here. Sorry,
Oh, there
my
you are.
internet was out.
Oh, Wally, I posted your stamps as part of the presentation.
Oh, well, thank you.
You can take a look at the parts you missed on the website.
Let me go back to that screen, okay?
Sure. Oh,
Okay.
show Wally. Yep. I think you can still share.
All right, what happened? Here we
Do you
go.
need me to, maybe I need to.
Are we on? There you
Uh,
go. That's Wally. Those are Wally stamps.
They're not coming up, Csaba.
No, you have to share. You should be still able to share.
I'm hitting share. Didn't come up?
No.
No. Strange.
Yeah.
That's okay. I'll get it on the website.
Oh, there you go. It's coming now.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, that.
Oh, those are yours, Wally?
Those are mine. I just got a collection that had those in it, and I ran it through Csaba to make sure that they're identified correctly. And I guess just the top left one was not.
Well, that's not bad, you know.
I still have a good group there.
Yeah, right.
But I really appreciate the help, Csaba.
You're welcome.
Maybe.
Hey, Csaba, sorry.
Go on.
Yeah. Maybe just one remark on Chris's question on the imperforated lithograph stamps. I happen to have the monograph here, and on page 167 of number 3, there is a picture of a pair of lithographs stamps imperforated, and they are proofs of the lithographed stamps as far as I can make out in the description. So it describes various papers on which lithographs proofs were made, and they were obviously not perforated. So I don't think they will be on the market anytime soon, but there are imperforated proofs around, if I read the monograph correctly.
Well, there were a lot of essays, you know, design proofs prior to the actual stamps being printed.
Do we have any other questions? No, somebody, Steve Delaney. Oh, Steve,
He's
you got-
leaving.
Oh, you're leaving. Okay, well,
Thanks for joining us.
glad you could be here. I think there are a few others that have to leave at 2. So if we don't have any other questions, Csaba, we all want to thank you very much. This is a great start to the series.
I think that the attendance and the interest was very impressive, and I appreciate that.
Yep.
And that we can go on with the next presentation.
Yep, and we'll publicize that towards the end of next week, so then we can start setting up the schedule for the others. Csaba, could you send me the PowerPoint too, and I'll work on posting that.
I'll send that
on
to
the
you.
site next to the recording. And also, if I could just ask the officers to stay on for 5 or 10 minutes, just so we can discuss a couple other things.
Okay.
And for everybody else, this is great, great start. Thank you for attending. I hope you all enjoyed it, and we want to see you all in the next group.
Okay. Goodbye.
Right. Thank you very much.
Bye, everybody.
All right. Yeah, bye-bye now.
Goodbye, guys. Bye.
All right. So who we got? Yeah, let's see.
Alan?
Yep.
You want me
Anna,
to
you're
s-
there.
You
Yep.
want me to stay or go?
You can stay. That's fine. You're not official, but you can stay. We value your opinion.
Okay.
Okay, we got. Kara, are you still there? I'm not sure. I don't know. Anyway. So a couple of things. We had one question that came up. Kara, this is just for the board. See ya.
Bye.
See you next time.
Bye.
So anyway, the question came up whether we should have 1 or 2 per next session. So this one was about an hour, very active, lots of questions.
Oh, wow.
What?
I didn't realize that an hour had gone by.
I know it's, I mean,
That
there's a
feels
lot of
like
questions.
15 minutes.
Well, originally we were talking about presentation being 15 minutes and then open up for questions. So we figured it'd be a half hour. Presentation wasn't much more, maybe 20 minutes, Csaba. I don't know, 20, 25 at most. but there's a lot of meat to the presentation, so it's hard to keep any of these topics to 15 minutes.
Right.
So just want to get general impressions. Should we try to do two? I mean, we could do two over 2 hours. Would people, want to sit through 2 hours, or would they want to have one of these sessions dedicated to one topic?
Well, lesson learned from my end, one topic per session.
That's because you were the one originally brought up the two, and I thought two could be good.
I thought I could whip through that thing in 15 minutes, so. But
Yeah,
with the extra discussion, I think we should just limit it to one.
Yeah.
I agree with Donna.
All right. Well,
Yeah,
that was-
I agree too, Alan, because I don't think, like, just looking at the list of presentations, I don't think any of these topics are going to get blown through in half an hour.
Right.
Not a chance. There's going to be questions. There's going to be follow-on discussion and whatnot.
And then, of course, it digresses. Carter brought up the sheet reconstruction of the engraved issues, which is beyond me. And I don't know how many of us would be interested in that, but that's his baby. So,
but it's all relevant, right?
Yeah, it was relevant because I
and
didn't even touch on the the identifying marks of the engraved because there's so many of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if we dedicate one session to one topic, people will get more out of it. For some of these, there may even be more questions, so it might drag on further. I mean, it might last more than an hour, which is great because the more discussion you have, the more information is transmitted, you pass on to other people. So I think it's probably best to do that. Next session and all the subsequent ones, we'll do one, one at a time.
Yeah, and that keeps you from information overload at one time. Otherwise you get too many things in the brain at once.
Yeah. All right, that's easy for that one. Wes, you had brought up one thing. I don't know if you can hear or see. Let me just bring it up because Wes had wanted to see if we wanted to bind the journals from 2000 to current. And I wanted to bring it up to just get some general discussion and see if it's worth investigating. We have bound journals up to 2000. We sell them on the site. We've sold one in the last 10 years, I think. So I'm not sure it's worth doing, but I didn't want to just arbitrarily make that decision. So any thoughts on that?
I don't think bound journals are worth dealing. There's so little market for them. And they are all on the site if anybody wants, a member wants to look at them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, from my perspective, Alan, if somebody actually wanted a bound copy, then we could bind them a copy. But I mean, to actually do that on spec sounds like, it's gonna wind up, but there's going to be a cost attached to it, and there may not be any revenue on the other side of it.
Right, agreed. And we had sold one set of the 2000. Somebody did want the copies of the hard copies of the journal from 2000 to 2020, a new member. Well, we had individual copies. I had them, and so we sold them, and they weren't bound, but they were just a big box of journals, which the guy wanted. So it was, and he paid for them, and we had the revenue. So anyway, so I don't think we should pursue that any further either. So any other questions, thoughts, discussion for anything?
I have one.
You haven't said anything.
What's that?
I'm just looking at Bob Morgan.
Bob,
your gums are muted. There's nothing
He's
coming
muted.
out.
Bob's muted still.
Bob, yeah, talk. I can't get him. Hang on. I can unmute. Bob, can you see that?
He may not know how to unmute it.
Yeah, I just asked him to, but no, I can't physically unmute him.
That's not
Bob?
good.
No, can't unmute him either.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Oh, yeah, you have the same, yeah, you could do it too, but no, we can't do that.
Bob, go to the bottom left corner of your screen. There's a little button there that you can push that will unmute it.
Well,
Lower
that's
left
just your,
corner.
this is your button, Chris.
Oh, it
There
is?
he is.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Chuck?
there you are. Hi, Bob.
there we go.
Bob, how are you?
I'm so far okay. I would like to see Csaba's face better. If you would put a little more light on it next time, Csaba.
He wants more light in your room, Csaba.
He wants more light. Well, got the light on and
There
got
you
the
go.
window on the background, but that's
That's as good as it's gonna get.
that's as good as it's gonna get.
You can sit back a little bit or you bring a little light in the front.
Well,
Bob, just so you know, you are very bright.
if I get closer to the camera, there's light, but it's just the way that the camera picks up the image from the room.
So what I did, up at right corner, I put in an extra light. And that gives enough light to show my face. Otherwise, you couldn't see my face. I shut that light off. It's still not too bad.
Very good.
Otherwise, it was absolutely wonderful to see everybody. It's a real treat. I find it a real treat. And
Yeah, that was
like we used to meet each other in person. This is wonderful. It is absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, we had a very full screen of people. There was around over 30 people on the call.
Yeah. By the way, Alan, maybe you should ask in the for people to upgrade or send a new email address, because some people must have changed since originally they signed up.
Yes, we can try to do that. We actually did get a few new emails from people just in the last week.
But in a president message, you should ask people to resend the email address, because when you send out information about these meetings or whatever it is, it would be nice if more and more people would sign in.
Yeah. Yeah, I will try to do something, because some people didn't get it, some didn't open it. So the only thing I could do is send everybody a mass email and ask them to confirm that that's their email. And if I don't hear from them, then we'd have to send them a letter back to get a good email. But they're probably a third of the emails we have are old.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, Alan Sobel, for example, we had an old email for him. So Csaba, you gave us the new email, which is great.
actually, Alan, maybe that's something you might want to think about addressing in your next president's corner.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, rather
just because the journal will get to everybody. So
Yep,
I mean, that's as good a way of communicating as.
By the way, that's a universal problem. I belong to another organization, and invariably people move, and the last thing they do is send out their change of email address.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Robert, that's a good idea. I'll put it in the at the beginning of the president's corner, just to get people to update their emails. Yeah, I mean, when we use MailChimp, it actually tells you who opens and who doesn't open, so you can tell, and sometimes it tells you if they're bad emails. But if it's a bad email, then you know, and you can get a new one. If they don't open it, you don't know if it's not correct. So yeah.
Yeah. But I think that would be a good, that'd
Yep.
be a good place to
Yep.
to flag that, and hopefully we'll get a few more updated emails out of that.
Yep. Yep.
At the beginning of this discussion here, you guys mentioned something about the printed copies. I didn't understand it. Can you talk about that a little bit more?
Yeah, Wes had brought that up in that there's a section on the website, or it's actually, I'm not sure if it might even be in the news. It says you can buy, it's in the news, yeah, at the back, that you can buy printed copies of the bound copies of the newsletter. And we have bound copies up to the year 2000, but we don't have any bound copies after that. And we've never had a request for that. We had one request in the last 7 or 8 years for printed copies, which we sent the person, just not bound. So I don't think we really need to do that. We might want to update the blurb at the back of the news to properly reflect what we have and don't have.
The bounding is cost a lot of money. And, just leave the word out, bounded. Leave the word out, the bounded copies. So if somebody wants to order it, you can send them to me, send it to them without bounded.
Yeah, that's right. That's not even, yeah.
Without bounded.
Hey, Alan, do we actually have any bound copies in inventory?
Yes, we do.
Okay, well, I mean, I guess we should continue to offer those for sale in hopes that we can flog them to somebody somewhere.
I mean, Greg had some and he sent them to me. I have some now, and I'm not sure if he has any. I mean, I can reach out to him and see if he still has any. They're bound in 10-year increments up to the year 2000. So that part we should leave there. Yeah.
You don't have anything before 2000?
No, not anything after 2000. We have the bound copies up to 2000.
No, those bound copies are when we were in the bulletin format, the small format.
Right. So they're easier to bind. They're not that big.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
Because I made photocopies for Alan Hoover. It took me about a week of all the journals that I had, and then he used that to make the bound copies.
Yep. I think he had sent me actually he might still have some. He didn't send me all of them, but he sent some of them to me because we actually had shipped them out. One member had actually asked for those in the last few years. And I still have some more, but I think he has some more also.
I think that once I got everything digitized and put on the web, the need for printed copies is considerably less.
Right.
There's still some of us old farts who like to refer to paper copies, but
you can download and print them on your own printer.
Yeah, but they look a lot better. For the ones that Robert sends out are a lot better looking.
Sorry.
Better quality paper too.
That is true.
Yes, that is very true.
Well, I've got one more thing. I want to thank Bob Morgan for his help with the presentation that I made up for the Hunfilex next year. He came up with the sage advice on how to grab people's attention.
Yeah, no, I thought that actually looked quite sharp, Csaba.
I'd have one suggestion is that if you're presenting something at one of the shows, how about after the show, giving the stuff to our webmaster and getting it put on the web? Those presentations are very nice, and it'd be wonderful to see them on the web.
Are you talking about these presentations?
Any presentation that our members do and have out at a show or something, if after the show they could just photograph it or put it on slides or something and ship it to our webmaster. Have them put it on.
Yep.
Those are great to look through.
Yep.
Yeah. You're thinking of like anybody who puts an exhibit together,
right? Yeah, those exhibits would be great reference material on the web.
Okay, yeah, for sure, for sure. Actually, that's, I wonder if that's something we shouldn't kind of reach out to various members to see if they can scan exhibits and send them into to Ken. Because I mean, Wally's right. I mean, some of the stuff that I've seen, like Lyman's exhibit on postage dues was, I went through that with him at CPEX, and it was awesome. And I mean, I know Caroy has put together, an exhibit. Well, I saw that in New York where it was all the early revenue stamps and a whole raft of information on that. And again, that's the kind of thing where, like if you're looking for something, you can just click through slides. I mean, it's fantastic resource information.
We are going to have, I think, 6 exhibitors at Hunfilex from our members. So I'll send you the list, Robert. You can put that in the next news. But those, if we can get copies of all 6 of those, that'd be perfect.
That would be fantastic.
Yeah,
I mean, that'd be a great resource to have on the website.
Yeah. I can work with Ken to put them up because he created the space for the recording, so we can create a similar space for exhibits. And
I think that'd be a great idea.
Yeah. I mean, I'm assuming I'm sure none of the members that are exhibiting would have a problem with putting them up. So I'll just ask for them and we'll see if we can put them up.
Yeah, I think that'd be a fantastic idea. Is the amount of exhibit or the amount of information that members have got into that they like plow into their exhibits, right? I mean, it's tough to duplicate that.
Yeah, I think over the next, it's probably going to take a year to get through all of these, but these next presentations, they're all going to have great information in there. So,
yeah, that's true. And if we could keep either the PowerPoint presentations or even in the form of a PDF and create a spot on the website for all the expert presentations that just in a PDF or PowerPoint format, then again, that would be good, because if you've seen something and you think, oh, wait a minute, so-and-so had something on that in a presentation, that if you've seen it, then you can go to it, click, okay, that's the slide I'm looking for,
Well, we can do that in the space on the website there for the expert presentations. Just put the videos up in one place and the PowerPoint's next to it.
Yeah, I think that'd be great. And then you've got your choice of what kind of format you want to access the information in.
Yeah. I mean, take a look. Let me just. You guys have a minute?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me just show you. Where is it? Let me go back. Hang on a second.
Hey, Wes, you wanted to say something a little while ago.
Yeah, you guys talk while I'm getting this thing up.
Were you able to get your question asked?
I'm not sure Wes is hearing it, Chris.
I don't think so.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
You can?
Yep.
Crazy. Okay. I'm really having difficulty following the conversations, just for me. But you want to ask me a question again? I'll try and understand it.
You were trying to get people's attention. You were kind of waving and things like that. You wanted to say something.
Did I want to say something?
Yes.
The only comment I was thinking about was on the bound editions. We show, if someone wanted all of them that are bound at this time, $330. But if someone bought the whole set, we'd actually give them $10 off and make it $3.20. I think that's a ridiculous amount of a discount. If we'd really like to get a few bucks, let's make it like $2.75 or something.
Yeah,
If someone wanted the full set. Alan and I talked about that at one time before.
I mean, we can add a
Anyway,
discount.
This is a suggestion, and I didn't quite sign on to this right, so I missed part of what I was supposed to be able to do, but just a comment. I thought it was a great presentation. I'm all thumbs up for it. I like the idea of one per time, like you've already decided. But I thought it was an excellent deal. I was impressed and amazed. And that's pretty good for a deaf guy. All right. Good to see all of you. I like seeing the pictures because there's a couple people I did not know who they were. I know the name, but not who. And so seeing the pictures are just great too. Okay.
Thank you, Wes. All right, let me just share one thing here. I don't know if you guys can see this, but okay, so this section here is the new section, SHP recordings. So we can put all of our recordings up here, and this is the annual meeting. So if I clicked on this, we'd actually have the Zoom recording inside of our Zoom recording, which would probably look rather odd, but people can get in here, and then we'll put up the other meetings. So we'll just have an index of meetings. This expert presentation will go here underneath this, and we can put the PDF next to it, and then we can do that for all of the sessions.
And then just add one more category, Alan, for the PowerPoints or PDFs, like the actual documents that were used for the presentation.
Yep, that's where we can put those. Have to work with Ken on how to index it, but we would put the presentation in one group and the PowerPoints in another, or maybe we can put them one next to each other. I'm not sure exactly what the easiest way to do that is, but we can do that. And then the other thing we can do is go back over here.
Stop it.
Question? We can put another section in here for the exhibits. Like put the PDFs for exhibits.
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you.
Okay. So I'll work with Ken on that.
All these things will work out.
What was that?
I said, slowly all these things will work out.
Yes.
Out.
Yes, they will.
For the original presentation, it could not be better than Csaba. That was fantastic.
You set the bar very high, Csaba.
Well, that we needed to get off the ground floor with this, so.
Yep. I'll
Hey,
check.
Alan?
Yeah.
Quick question for you. When Wes was telling us how he liked what he saw today, he made a comment that kind of impacted me also, and that was there were faces up there that either he didn't know or he knew or whatever, but there were a lot of people up there. I had no clue who they were. And one of the things I was thinking about was whether or not it would pay us to kind of have a real quick go through every time we have one of these things, where everybody kind of just introduce themselves and I don't know, maybe says what they like to collect or something. Yes, it might be too hokey, but it might also be a way to, because a lot of people also didn't say anything. And I'm never real comfortable when you get a group together like this and someone walks away and didn't say a word at all. At least he can introduce himself and he kind of feels more a part of the thing. It just kind of some ideas that are going around my head. I thought I'd throw that on the table for you.
I mean, there were 30 some odd people, so that might take a little while, but
that's the downside of it, for sure.
Yeah. The other thing that I'm not sure of is how the order. I mean, it's a little tricky because you can't go through, you can't tell people. I mean, I guess I could select people, but if you tell people to introduce themselves, how are they going to know when to introduce themselves? Because it's
That's true.
Because it's not like it's a list that you go through. That's the problem.
Yeah, and the
So,
screens keep moving around, and like people aren't necessarily in the same order either.
yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I can't make a list of people that, and it takes generally about 5 to 10 minutes for everybody to get on. So although that's a good idea, it might be a little hard to implement.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Well, I think, Chris, that, you know, once we get more of these things going, then you'll get to know who's who in the list.
That's true. That's true.
You know, I know a lot of these people by the articles that they write.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
That's
well, it's
true.
good to see them, but you know, that's all right.
You know what? Well, maybe what we could do is, instead of doing it for everybody, maybe we could just have a special thing for people who this is the first time they've attended one of these things. Maybe a new member. You know, all the old guys, we all know each other, so there's obviously no reason for us to do that. But maybe if we get a couple of new guys, it may only be 2 or 3 guys, and that's going to cut down the you know, who needs to do what, and that's something obviously you can control because you know they're there, and you could, you know, combination welcome and just, you know, kind of bring them into the pot.
Yeah, I mean, suggestion is I have a list. There's a list. This is a spreadsheet with all the people who are attending, and a couple people said that you know, just before that they couldn't attend, so I just crossed them off the list. But I mean, I have a list of people, so I can make note of the new people and then just ask them this, you know, like 5 people say a word, and I can tell them that before the meeting. So if they don't want to do it, they can say that.
Yeah.
You know, so I can make a list of 6 or 8 people that, you know, we haven't seen before, and just ask them to, you know, say a word or two about who they are.
Yeah, that might be a way to, you know, get around the logistics of it a little bit better.
Yeah, and that way, people that we see all the time, like Caroy and you guys, you know, that's probably not necessary.
Right.
Yeah, and there's actually I think that's a really good idea, Alan, because then people who are new to the group feel like they're kind of being invited into the group.
Yep.
And you know, rather than kind of feeling on the outside. So I think that's actually not a bad idea.
Yeah, all right. So I'll do that because I keep the list, and it's a running list. I use that to send out emails to people and reminders, so I pretty much know who's coming.
Anyway, thanks, Alan, for organizing this, and then you know, this is a big improvement for our you know, feeling that we're part of a society. You know, we're helping each other instead of just reading a newsletter.
Yeah, hopefully we'll grow the number of attendees over the next few months. So that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The fact is, you were able to bring in people from Europe, from the East Coast, from the West Coast. I mean, that was a pretty good feather you pulled out of your hat on that one. That was really good. That was very good.
Some, you know, some heavy guns from Hungary got invited.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. Yep. I think we had 2, 4, 6, 8 people internationally. So that's great.
Yeah. Bet the Brits don't do that.
Yeah. Okay, guys. Well, thank you all.
Oh, wait a minute. This isn't being. This part of it isn't being recorded, is it? Oh God, it is.
That's all right. I'll stop. I can cut the recording. I should have stopped. I forgot to stop the recording, but I can edit the recording, so it's.
Okay, I recommend you edit it.
I will edit the last part. I wasn't planning to keep this in, but I forgot to stop the recording.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's easily editable, and it saves a lot of space too. So.
Yeah. Okay.
I will do that. All right. Well, thanks, guys. Thanks very much.
Well, thanks ever so much, Alan, and thanks ever so much, Csaba. That was a good presentation. I learned something today.
Yeah. Same here.
Yeah, sorry I missed the first part, but the internet always goes out when you need it.
Well, you can check the recording.
I will.
All right. All right. Take care, everybody.
Okay. Take care, guys. Ciao.
Bye-bye.